Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. The time is 6:34 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First up on our agenda is the consent agenda. First is the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? Any questions, comments, anything to be updated? Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
And we are not considered Zoom, so we don't have to do roll call. Is that correct? Right, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next up is warrants 15 and 17. Any questions or comments on those? If not, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve warrants 15 and 17. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now policy J, this is our second, technically third read. Anyone have any other last minute updates or adjustments to this? If not, can I have a motion to approve policy J?
I'll make the motion to approve policy J.
Second? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, next up is acknowledgement of professional teacher status.
Great. So very excited to recognize our teachers who now have earned professional teacher status. So for those people who may not know, a teacher who has been in the district for 3 full years and is rated proficient, at least proficient on their evaluation, has the opportunity to earn professional teacher status. I think in other circles, it might be considered tenure, or I think it provides the educators a little bit more protection than they have in their first 3 years as a developing educator. We had a few in the district. One is out on maternity leave and one left us this summer. So we just have one here with us, and I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Jordan to recognize this, but I will say I had the pleasure of being the principal at the junior senior high school the past 3 years with Ms. Ingraham, and could not be happier to have her on our staff. I think if anybody had the opportunity to be at graduation last year, you could see how much that the Granby Junior Senior High School means to her. And I think how much she means to the students, because to be the class speaker for the senior class, that's elected by the students. And Ms. Ingraham was selected. We're almost watching ourselves live. And Ms. Ingraham was selected to be the class speaker last year by the class of 2021. So considering I worked with her for 3 years, I wanted to make sure that I said a few words, but like I said, I will hand it over to Ms. Jordan.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So my bullets. So thank you so much. And I echo Stephen's sentiments regarding Kelly. Want to make it a point to make sure we're in person tonight to be able to honor you here. And Kelly Ingraham here. Kelly was a graduate here in 2011. It's pretty incredible that she's come back and has had some of the same teachers, and they really paved, a path for Kelly. And it's almost like she never left. No, you went to college, right? But she was back. Kelly is now in her 4th year here at Granby. She's an incredible asset to our community, and the kids absolutely adore her. You could see Kelly teaching U.S. History 2, AP Government, Historical Fiction, and English 11. In Kelly's spare time, you can also know that Kelly was our keynote speaker for 2021's graduation ceremony. As I had a new hire this summer, I tasked that individual with listening to Kelly's speech on their 5-hour commute on the way home. And he came back that following day and said it was absolutely incredible.
It
that
was.
he now knows and understands why Granby. And Kelly also is one of the most popular and selected chaperones at various functions. Everyone has to have Miss Ingraham present, and he even signed up for prom this year as well. He didn't know. And lastly, on 9/11, well, it was actually 9/10 here, I asked Kelly to guide the school community through a moment of peaceful reflection. I couldn't think of a better person. She sends chills down your spine when she speaks, and everybody listens to her. So I couldn't think of a better person, and to be here tonight is such an honor, Kelly. I didn't have the privilege of evaluating you the past few years. That was Stephen's role, but we will continue on, and thank you so much. Congratulations. Mr. Dorman had just a few words.
Of course. I want to be clear, her speech was not 5 hours long. It was just the commute that this gentleman had.
Thank you. My name is Todd Dorman. I've been a history teacher for 23 years in the district, and now I'm interim assistant principal. So Kelly was a student of mine, I think, about 5 times in her career. And she student taught with me. She grew up in my classroom in many ways. And to have her come back and be a trusted and valued colleague is a great statement to her work ethic and what we do as a school community. And she's taken on new courses, new responsibilities every year she's been here. And as Ms. Ingraham has said to the community, it is about those relationships, and she fosters those relationships all the time. And that's in her speech, as Mr. Sullivan and Ms. Jordan mentioned. And so just a fantastic part of our department and our school and our community.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I just want to say thank you for the flowers and for the recognition, because I think it probably means a lot more to me than any of you really realize. Like they said, I grew up in Granby. I think a lot of people look at Granby and see that it's a small district and a small community. And I look at Granby and I see home. I grew up here and I had the opportunity to come back and student teach. So with that said, I also want to thank Mr. Sullivan and Ms. Jordan for hiring me and giving me the opportunity to have this dream job, and to the rest of you for allowing me the opportunity to continue working here and continue this dream job. So thank you.
I'll step away for a quick picture. There.
Of
I
course.
need to do better with my social media, so.
Give them a minute to do pictures. But the books is pretty.
No, I was just going to use that.
Oh, I was totally smiling.
Yeah, I got it. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really great. I'm glad that we're able to do some in-person recognition. It feels good. It feels like we're coming back into some sense of normalcy. Thank you so much for coming.
you.
Congratulations. Next up is visitors' comments. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee must sign in with the administrative assistant prior to the opening of the regular session of the school committee. The visitor will identify themselves by name and address and shall speak for no longer than 3 minutes. We do have an in-person visitor today. Mr. Goodhind.
Is it? Okay, so just come up here.
Just be careful.
Perfect. Steve Goodhine, 183 Bachelor Street. I am also the girls varsity softball coach. I would like to be added to the next agenda to propose a temporary batting cage for the girls varsity and junior varsity softball team. And I would also like to ask what is needed for the information.
Excellent. So I think we can add you to the next agenda. The meeting will be, I got to look at my calendar because I don't remember the date. Oh, look at that. You've got it just right there. Yes, October 5th. And I think the basics that we would need to see for a proposal would be where you'd like to put it. Is there, what kind of financial responsibility, any kind of liability, anything anybody else can think of? Who else could use it besides just the girls? Will it be up year round? I know you said temporary. Just kind of walk us through what it is, what entails, who's going to manage it, kind of thing. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to see?
Too, if you have the proposal sooner, like if you had it next week, we can put it in the folder, so
Yeah.
the school committee would have it. So if they have any questions ahead of time, they could direct them to you or to me, to you through me. What's that?
Who should I email it to?
You can email it to me or Jacqueline Coretta. And her email is just jcoretta, Kareta at GranbySchoolsMA.net.
Then that might give us an opportunity to see, what that looks like and different things like that as well. If you're looking at in terms of liability and
Right.
all of those types of things.
So it may not be a one and done thing, but we'll kind of work through it and see how it goes. Cool.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
We currently have the one for the boys varsity and JV. Would it fall under the same type of liability?
I guess we'll have to look into it. I didn't necessarily, I know you mentioned that to me in the past, but it didn't click. So we'll have to just mention that in your email with the kind of outline of it, and we can look into it.
Okay.
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing you on October 5th.
Thank you.
Do we have any virtual visitors for tonight? Give them a minute. Steve. Okay, next up, student representative, Mr. Barron.
Hello.
Hello.
We had a few things to go over. We had parents' night for both East Meadow and high school. East Meadow notably had very high attendance this year. We got lots of sports going on right now. Soccer for the boys especially are off to a great start, as well as the girls. We have cross country. They have their first few meets already. And volleyball for the girls. They're also doing pretty good. I went to a game today. They won. I just want to touch on the kids being back in person full time and it starting to really feel normal again. As in, like last year, everybody's like majority of kids back, but you still had a lot more distance and a lot more regulation. But of course, as we all know, this is shifted back to everyday life. The high school student council will meet this Thursday for the first time this year. And there will also be a vaccine clinic for all the public and of the schools in the student parking lot from 11 to 7.
Thursday, right?
This Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear that again.
And probably again and again. And you said the energy is pretty good and people are glad to be back.
You can feel it in the teachers too, and the kids, the teachers, all staff,
Excellent. Any questions for Marcus? So glad to have you back.
He's got a busy schedule too, so very happy to see you.
Time off to be here.
Well, let us know if how you want to work it and we can try to work it out. But I think you're going to try to come just for one meeting a month, whether it's the first or last, whatever works for you.
That's the goal.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so Marcus and I have talked a little bit about, he's gonna try to get to the first meeting of the month, but since he missed this month's first meeting, he wanted to come here today. So him and I are trying to schedule a meeting prior to the meetings just to check in. So if anything comes up, I'll try to work with Jackie to adjust the agenda as well.
Excellent. Anything else, Marcus? Very good. Awesome. Next is the Granby Educators Association update. Cheryl.
Adding to what Marcus had to say, yeah, the energy is great. People are really, students and teachers and staff alike, we're very happy to be back in our buildings. it's like real teaching and learning again. Buildings look great. Our classrooms all look, just wonderful. And yeah, our parents' night was standing room only here at East Meadow. I still want to say West Street, East Meadow. And the kids, like our kids are little, we're still getting them into routines, and there's a few that are really struggling with it, and there's some social and emotional stuff going on, but we're working through it. And, they were out of school for over a year or so, and then the summer,
Right.
as you all know. But I think overall it's really, really a positive feeling every morning when we walk in here, and people are really happy to be back. I know I am.
I can't even tell you how good
Yeah.
that makes my heart feel. Just
Yeah.
people are glad to be coming back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Any questions or anything for Cheryl? Excellent.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Mhm. Okay, next up is continuing business mask update. We had put this on because the everything was for October 1st initially. I haven't seen or heard in any of the emails that has been extended. I'm assuming that it will be, with the numbers, according to Dick Bombadier's emails, still on the rise. So I don't know if we have anything, or if we just want to have it live there as a tickler just going forward.
Yeah, I think we had anticipated possibly having some more guidance from the state at this point, and as of half an hour ago, we still don't. So I know other superintendents and school committees are wondering, and the commissioner has said that they're working on it, but still no guidance. He has indicated that it could still be October 1st. It could get pushed back. Everything seems to be on the table.
But we don't have, Granby's order didn't have a date. So regardless of what happens with DESE, we're still under the mask mandate
Correct.
from Granby Board of Health.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that that's clear, that
Yes.
we're not saying if DESE lifts something, that we will automatically lift something. It will depend upon what follows from Granby Board of Health, because we
Correct.
follow the most restrictive, right?
The closest in proximity, yeah, most restrictive. And then we adopted a policy as well that would have to be adjusted even if the Board of Health lifted something. So we have a couple of layers still.
Excellent. Next up is the testing program.
Yeah, so testing program, to be honest, has been frustrating in some ways. We were provided with a program coordinator last week. Nancy and I met with that person. We are still awaiting some supplies that we need in order to begin the pool testing, or the routine safety checks. It was formerly referred to as the pool testing. I pushed on CIC and our program coordinator to try to get it up and running this week. I'm not confident that's going to happen, but we're going to continue to push. I think it's the supplies and then some staffing. So Nancy has drafted a letter that CIC is reviewing that we could potentially send out to our community. And if anybody is willing and available to be a tester, that they could apply for a position through CIC and get hired and get paid for that work. As of right now, as of today, we have 109 students signed up for testing and 15 staff. So still some kinks to work out. We want to get it started as much as anybody, but every time we take a step forward, we meet a new obstacle, unfortunately. And I do think CIC, which is the state vendor, I think they're overwhelmed by the response. I think on the last commissioner call, he mentioned something 2,000 schools that account for about 80,000 students had signed up for testing programs. And I think that was much larger than the small testing pilot that districts participated in last year. And if you remember, we didn't participate last year because we worried about our capacity, but then the state offered these resources, the staffing and all of this. And I think that intrigued us, and I think many other districts. So I think that is part of the issue.
I do have a question on the testing, and someone asked me, and I didn't know or even necessarily understand what they were asking, so I'm going to ask it the way it was asked to me. If someone has previously had a positive COVID case in the last 90 days, won't they still test positive? And if they're doing that, and then we go through that whole protocol, the way they were going for it is that how can we be sure that a positive test is an active current positive test without going back and seeing if they've had a diagnosis? So I didn't know how to
Yeah.
answer that, and then it made me stop and wonder about some of that. So
Yeah, so Nancy's on, but I'm happy to take a shot at this one, Nancy. So there are some exemptions when it comes to quarantining and isolation, and somebody who has had COVID in the last 90 days, as long as they are asymptomatic, would still be eligible to be in school. That is one of the
so
exemptions.
those people shouldn't be signed up for the safety checks because they would cause the pool to be positive.
Yeah, I think they would want to consult with our nursing staff.
Okay.
Consult with CIC to get confirm that, but I don't know if Nancy has any other details.
Yeah, I agree with you, Stephen. We definitely need to take a look at that because people can test positive for quite some time afterwards. That's part of the reason why we are not requiring folks who've tested positive to have a negative test to return. But that definitely can skew results. So when we come across that will be a conversation that we will definitely need to have with CIC Health because of that. So I think until, they're out of their 90 days or CIC Health provides additional guidance, they wouldn't be able to participate in the testing at that point. So that's
Okay.
a really good question.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's really shifted, like the testing being the focus as much as it is now the time and symptoms.
Symptoms,
So
okay.
depending on each case, and there's a whole flow chart. Nancy did a presentation that is posted on our school website. I also believe it's on GCAM's YouTube channel.
Yep.
That goes through all of that information, and she presented at the last school committee, but
Yeah.
that's all posted now.
Yeah, so I was just flipping through her thing, I just wanted to make sure that that was something that was on the radar, because again, when it was asked to me, I didn't know. And also the clarification of you don't need the negative test to return to
Yep.
school, because I've seen that in other days that I've been reading. So I'm glad to have that.
Can I just ask one other clarification for the testing program that we're participating in?
Of course.
I believe that we're only participating currently we will be in the pool testing and safety checks. We're not doing the symptomatic testing at this time. Is that
No.
Pool
correct.
testing and safety checks are the same, no?
So pool testing and safety checks are the same thing, but we're doing the routine safety checks and the test and stay.
test and stay?
We're not doing symptomatic right now, but that is certainly something we would consider. It was another factor of not having all the information and knowing all the information. So we made a decision to participate, but wanted some more information on that. So we can opt in and out of tests through the program as we move forward.
Okay, that's great to know. I didn't realize that.
And I have a question, but it's sort of tied to this, but I'm not sure if we need to add it to an agenda, because it's not an appropriate question, just tell me. But last year there was a flu vaccine requirement that was, I don't remember if it was state or federal. Everyone had to have it by a certain day, and then it was state.
State, and it got lifted right before that deadline.
Okay, so that is not a thing.
Currently, we
Okay.
have not heard that. Nancy, have you heard anything on that?
We haven't, but I actually am trying to get a meeting with the school health unit from DPH, the director, because we have state mandated immunization surveys that we have to complete. And the way that they're written, it's appearing that they're asking for information, whether people are compliant or not, but that is not a mandate right now. So trying to get clarification, but we have nothing in writing indicating that that's a requirement for this year. So it's interesting how they wrote the survey, but You are correct. At this time, it's not mandated.
Excellent. I
Thank
would
you.
like to keep testing on the agenda for the next time. So masks and testing will just sort of live on the agenda for the foreseeable future, if that's okay with everybody.
That makes sense.
Can I just make a quick note? We are having a lot of families asking if we're testing symptomatic students. It's just a reminder that even if we were to participate in that form of testing, students should not be coming to school with any signs of illness. If they are, they need to be contacting their healthcare provider. That form of testing is only if students develop symptoms while in school. Just we're getting a lot of feedback from families, so I just wanted to let you know.
Fun.
Jackie just said, I can see you, but not hear you. Oh, we're on.
Okay, well, good.
So what I was saying was that the testing form was given to districts by the state. We were asked not to manipulate it, but we have made a decision that if a family is comfortable only participating in one of our two options, we are providing that option internally. So if a family wants to participate in test and stay, but not in the routine safety check, they can either note it on the form or reach out to Nancy when they submit it. And we're happy to accommodate that. We would prefer if families participate in any way rather than, we didn't want them to feel like it was all or nothing. That's total consent. Yeah, so specific to the test and stay, like which test, I can get that information, I just don't have it.
Maybe come into either Mr. Latoy's weekly update or the rare report that you can opt into just one of instead of all three. Just that exact definition you just gave us might be really helpful for people.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Anything else on testing? Okay. So earlier, we're really glad that you're here for our first work group meeting, because the first item that we're going to be working on is the school committee calendar. So it'll be nice to have some with you about select board dates and just kind of working through, because we want to build out our calendar around our dates and how the year goes. So if you know off the top of your head, or if you could bring it back to us next time, any of the deadlines or dates of how you guys see things, then we can make sure that we have it with enough time built in on our calendar. So that's where we're at, is the work group meetings. And the first one we're going to sit, it's because it's a new subcommittee. And like I just alluded to, we're going to be building out the school committee calendar. And the way that we had talked about this is kind of get a framework for the entire school year of what comes up when we want to try to slot in or would be appropriate for public forums, when there's due dates of information that we owe to certain people, and just kind of have some of the call out dates. Like, one that we hear is we have the SIMS data on October 1st for, our school choice numbers, and, just kind of build it all out. And so Audrey, I think this is your baby, right?
Excited. Yeah. So I just felt like came in, there was a lot of things that I just still had questions about, and I didn't know, what month we were doing this or that. And it was, the next person eventually comes in, and if that happens, that, see kind of what to expect month to month or beyond kind of on your rate.
You and who? Okay, Audrey and Jen. So one of you should sort of be the chair of the committee. And so I don't know if you guys want to figure that, or if you've already talked about that, and then you guys can walk us through it and how you want to, what you expect for today.
I'll be taking. Like Jen, you've been doing this for a few years, so I'm kind of looking and hoping that, you'll have some of that information of when we do those things. And hit a couple hot topics. I know that Adam, you had put in the folder some of those.
Yeah, so I would say this calendar, it's going to be majority, at least my opinion, budget dates. So I put the draft in there.
Yeah.
That includes a lot of details, but there's probably 4 or 5 dates on there that we'd want to include. This calendar that you guys are talking about. A couple of them, I don't know how you want to go about doing this, but yeah, I see it really being dominated by the budget and by deadlines that we need to get stuff to the town. You also mentioned like some sim stuff, which sense, I would just say some,
Vote on school choice.
yeah, some high level, like high level dates, yeah.
And
Yep.
Evaluation of
Mhm.
superintendent.
Mhm.
like, I want
Yes,
it all
and
on there.
strategic plan and,
Right,
you know.
So is-
exactly.
Is it like make sense to come up with like night
And
of
our
exactly what we
resources?
want on that calendar, and then maybe
So I think
whoever
we
can
should-
assign those and or get them to you guys with the dates, and then you guys can put them into the calendar,
Well, so
or
what I did was I started a document, all the months
Mhm.
listed,
Mhm.
and then like, we even copy paste off your document and throw those in the note. Same thing, like we say, school choice we do in March, yeah, you know what I mean, like, so.
Mhm.
And like I said, it can be something. Can, just like a check and back. So when they're supposed to, and that they're kind of in our mind.
Just thinking like the superintendent evaluation.
The question, that was the question that I had last year, I said to Carol, I'm like, are we evaluating? Reference it.
So Jackie had sent us an email. Some important dates,
Yes.
superintendent evaluation by school committee is on there.
Yes.
On there for January, so I don't, like, I think. Yes, but I don't know how.
So that was one of the things we
Evaluate in
we've-
January, but
have, it's sort of been a cyclical I'll say problem in quotes, is that we come in, when we start in July, we have a few meetings and then we hit the ground running with getting the school year up and running. And so it seems like by the time we're getting the goals nailed down, we're already supposed to be in an evaluation process. So that's certainly one of the things.
You mean selecting of which, of his,
We're supposed to be evaluating him in January, but he doesn't even have specific goals yet,
right?
so.
I just question, I know she was just jotting down ideas, but I just question where that came from.
so she went back to prior years' agendas
So that's
to
one
see
thing that,
when the
like,
committee was doing these things in those years.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was a reason for that time. I don't know from that. July type time period, like.
So the way that I understood it at the time is that was when it sort of, oh gosh, we need to do this, let's get it on the calendar. So it was out of cycle, trying to get the evaluation done. Is that how?
Yeah, because that was my first year.
Was there was a change in the evaluation process and
Yeah.
form, so there was a lot around that. So I certainly think that to kind of get nailed down. So when and how it would be built out for you, that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't know if it should mimic what you do with the teachers or if it should be, I feel like your goals need to be probably established before you start putting them out for what the staff has, but I'm not sure how to make that work and to play catch up.
Yeah, I think typically, this year, like with the entry plan and everything like that, it's pushed things off. So I was hoping this year that I would present draft goals to you all on the 5th for your feedback. And then they're at the next meeting in January, early November. I think in the future, pushing that back to September, late October certainly makes some sense. And I think, well, my goals specifically haven't been shared with the staff. I think at convocation, I shared, my core values, the work that we did at the leadership retreat about certain buckets that we're prioritizing this school year, which those things are going to inform my goals, which hopefully are informing teacher goals. So the staff has been shared that information, but I think you're right that having my goals in August or September and so that they're public certainly makes sense in the future.
All right.
And I don't know, like, in terms of the evaluation, like, I think there's some fact, like, this might be an area it's worth getting some information from Tracy on. I think maybe this year, it's later and then, like, I don't know, because there's some things in the contract that, like, certain things need to be done by certain dates too. So getting some guidance on that one might not be a bad idea, because maybe it should be in January. And no, does my first evaluation happen in January of 2023 or 2022? I have some of those same questions.
That might be a Tracy touch base. Was it like an Excel?
It was Excel and we had pulled that out and it had like to another one that we had to prioritize and rank.
And I
Well,
shared
and
with
you have-
everyone the webinar from this week, which
I
was
looking
helpful.
at
And then
that.
there's a 5-part video series
Yep.
attached to that web superintendent evaluation. So some of it, I haven't gotten through all 5, but some of that information might be available there as well.
So that piece is going to be, I think a lot more needs to be fleshed out. So that'll be something that you guys can work on in subsequent meetings. You know, that's sort of like the crux of what it is. Why we wanted to start this committee, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly like you just said, like, you know, realizing, well, we probably should have already started, like, I don't want to do that plan, and we know
Right.
that at this month, should be on our radar. Place we can all look at.
And also, I know that we have talked a number of times sort of amongst ourselves individually, you know, me mostly driving it is, I want to kind of have target public forum dates, like we have talked about budget wise. When we get to, you know, February, March, April, the meeting, when we have a public forum, there's a lot more, we can actually have conversations with anyone that comes that has questions. And I've talked, even I want to have some of these budget kinds of conversations with the staff and administration. But if they have any questions, they can work through them also. So whether it's a public forum for staff and administration, or if it's something where we set something up for you guys during the school day, or how, you know, those are some other things that I want to make sure we get captured on, so that we can.
I also understand what people know or want to.
And where some of the rumors start and how they start, because it's, you know, people talking and something gets taken slightly out of context and it builds. And we have to build back. Like if we're out there and informing people, is that going to be more or different work for you? Because it's just going to be building on what you do currently. No?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
And I have in that draft calendar, I have 2 public forum dates built in there.
Okay.
And then in addition to a public hearing, which is really just us presenting the budget to the public. So it's not really meant for back dialogue, but there are 2 public forums built into this draft calendar right now. And hey, I mean, it's a very fluid. Our budget and finance calendar is a very fluid calendar. You guys know the dates are going to change a lot as we get into the process. So I'd like to keep this in this form draft right now until the subcommittee has a chance to meet for the first time and actually dive into it and look at those dates and see if we want to add anything. But right now I have 2 public forums in there. I have 2 joint meeting dates in there. We always have more. We can always have more public forums. But yes, it's the work that I'm not gonna say that we do anyway.
Mhm.
It's really on us to campaign and make ourselves available to give that information. So we can put as many of those dates in there.
Do you have any dates that you know of off the top of? We can have one of the girls reach out to you if you think that would be better, just so we can, from a select board perspective, any dates that you think that we need to make sure to not miss, or.
No, that gets toward the. Well, I mean, anytime before. Getting the information to them, whether people want to. And get the information out there, but I think it makes it that much easier, but. We're trying to get that information out there, and that's the best you can do, is try to communicate that with them.
Departments or anything come before select board for budget stuff?
And all the budgets into the select board.
So I have a question. In what time frame do they do that? Are they all in a certain month that they come, or do they all together?
No, they come at different times. We actually set up for them to come and present their.
Okay,
So that's just, usually right around January we start.
I thought of is, do you guys have any set meeting dates that you have with finance?
Those questions start coming up, we start conversations with the finance committee, and that will be hard as well.
And you'll have joint meetings with them?
I'm hoping to.
That's what I'm thinking, once you guys have a date,
Back to that.
right?
well, I think that may be something you guys could, as a calendar subcommittee, reach out to,
Yeah.
you know, Jen, copy Glenn as our liaison, and, you know, let's try to get a couple of these full joint committee meetings on the docket. And it's not just about budget stuff, it's just about stuff. And I feel like that we're three sort of bodies of the town, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be helpful, and that we've really had some, I'll say, good conversations at some of the previous joint committee meetings. So I feel like, you know, we could continue to have those, because I feel like then everything's not so foreign, you know, people aren't foreign. I can say that I've been to a couple of them, and I still am not 100% sure who everybody is. Everybody is. So it'd be nice to just kind of have that face-to-face interaction. And now that we can have some meetings in person, I think I'd like to try to get some of those on that calendar. Well, you know, and see if we can now set up some, we're not scrambling, trying to get everyone's calendars to mesh.
Yeah,
So-
again, those dates I have in there for a joint finance committee meeting, like those I just put those in there because, I mean, our budget starts a little earlier, really. Not that they're not talking about it in October, November, but we're talking about it in October, November. We might not get into the actual process until December, January, but we're a
Right.
month away, less than a month away from starting the
Right,
talks for next year. So, and I know we talked, like, we're essentially gonna revamp the whole budget process, and it's not gonna change entirely this year. Like, there's some work that we gotta do. It's gonna take a few years, but there's a lot that we have to do to change that process. And I had some quick conversations, emails with Chris before, like asking what the town departments follow for their budget and what the county, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're a town department. I want to be included in that as well. So even though the finance or the select board doesn't necessarily need our budget, like, I'd like to be included in that. Like, if there's every other department to have costs, or, you know, we'll follow that. I don't
Right.
think we have a problem being able to do that.
right, and it'd be good to just kind of, if everybody knows what all of the dates are.
Yeah.
It become, and then, you know, it would be nice to,
Well,
because
it
your meetings are
streamlines
set,
everything.
right? You don't decide at your next meeting when your next meeting is, right? You guys set a calendar, right?
Our meetings are every first and third Monday of the month.
Okay.
Regardless, unless a holiday happens in the fall, that's our scheduled regular meeting. I mean, when we need to meet, but that might be, I would suggest we meet on a day that either boards meet, just on a separate day, so you
Mhm.
know.
Finance committee, what day is finance committee? Are they Mondays or are they Wednesdays?
I'm not sure off the top of my
They-
head.
Varied.
Yeah.
I'm watching there, and they don't have them every month.
Okay,
The finance committee is really kind of, so they need to come together and meet
okay.
on certain things. But I think it's, I think now what you said is maybe start looking, dates on the calendar, so we do have those, as you said. And I know, after the year before, we try to get 2 committees, 3 committees together and it seemed like almost impossible, but well, I can't make it then, I can't make it then. So maybe looking toward the future.
Yeah.
And get into like the December or January. We're gonna meet this day. You know, go from there. Do the select board on my next meeting on Monday and kind of bring that back as far as let's look at a date. Let's pick a day now and say, okay, you know, 3 months out, you can everybody look at their calendar. That's it.
Yeah, so my draft, I actually for the week of December 6th through 10th, again, very fluid date, but it's a joint meeting with everybody. So again, we're a couple months out. We should be able to get something on the calendar. So
What is the best way? Is it to reach out to Kathy or to Louise?
Either email me or actually, Kathy, is that way it actually
I
comes
don't
out.
have your email address.
Well, if you reach out to Kathy Leonard, so that way it'll come right to the select board meeting.
That's the best
actually-
way for finance committee too, is right through Kathy Leonard or.
Kathy can pass down to the finance committee. They all have emails.
They all
but-
have school, if you go into your school Google email and start typing their names, they should populate.
Okay.
Because they've all, you've been copied in on all of the emails that they've gotten, so you should have.
And it should be on the website, have some of their contact information.
Yeah, the last time I looked, I
It
didn't.
didn't
see
have
it.
it.
No,
I
it
didn't,
just
there's
has
nobody's.
Kathy's and,
Yeah.
Chris Martin.
But I just suggest to Kathy, that way it's brought up at our meeting, comes on the agenda, so I can bring it up to the board itself. So.
Okay.
It's about 3 more minutes for a full group, and then I'd like to break so that you guys can, whoever wants to continue the calendar discussion can. And then Stephanie and I can break out to do the community relations. And Cheryl, I know you can't stay for the whole meeting, but I was wondering with us for the community relations for a few minutes. I'd love to kind of see from the, you're a community member, number one, but you're also a teacher, some ways that we could connect with families and just other people. I would really appreciate some input. So is there anything else for full group as far as calendar? Do you feel like you've got at least sort of a direction, you guys? I think we've got some really great conversation. And
I just add one more thing for calendar to try and reach out to Tracy, offered to do a presentation on how the school budget and the process of it. I think that'd be a great resource to start having public forum, that way people can kind of understand the foundation of how our budgets are created. And she did offer that, so maybe just.
Did you videotape it too, or were you on that?
That was
That was
different, that was
not-
a rural school.
Oh,
It was
okay,
not
got it.
held,
Not,
yeah.
so you want presentation?
from Tracy, she said she would do it for like a
Mhm.
community, a
Yes.
community event.
Yeah. That way we can all understand how it works, because it is so complex. Just-
And it'd be good for people to hear it too, you know, like what the state got. How all of these pieces fit in. It's not just us saying we have these formulas. It's like where it all comes from.
yeah,
you
it's a
know?
different voice, right? It's
Yeah.
not us,
Right.
saying the same things.
There's requirements that have to be met.
When are you thinking for something like that?
I think that's up to, when Tracy might be available and when we think it might.
Like I wanted to, like Stephanie said, it should kind of kick off the budget process,
So
but
if
not too far ahead,
I
like.
would say for druthers, and I could pick it out, I would love it for, to be like an October,
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
early November sort
So-
of thing.
So on my draft calendar, I have November
November.
2nd as our first budget and
Yeah.
finance subcommittee meeting, which, and we can talk about this in the calendar. Guys, I just aligned those with school committee meetings. So that is a school committee meeting night is Tuesday, November 2nd. So if you said early November, late October, I think that'd probably be a good starting point if you can do that.
It would just be important to make sure that other committees don't have meetings that night. That way we can reach out and invite everyone to join. So we just want to make sure that's on our radar to check the meetings. That way it doesn't fall on the same
Are
night.
they posted on Mondays, but like first finance committee though, they're.
They don't have set,
And say, we're gonna do this, like,
right?
just to kind of get ahead of it, but definitely I think to kick it off. in October would be terrific.
So I was trying to think anything coming up, because they don't have a set.
We just don't know, I don't see it.
Yeah, just because it's not on the website doesn't mean that they don't
Right.
have dates
Right.
figured out, whether, it might feel varied to us, but it might be when they look at their
Right.
calendars, like
Yeah.
a Monday this month, a Tuesday next month,
Right.
a couple of Wednesdays, and then we're gonna be on a Thursday or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what that is, so. Is John still the chair?
I don't know, yes.
So again, we reach out to Kathy too, to facilitate that conversation.
Okay, so it's 7:30. I think at, what do you think, 20 minutes? And then we'll come back and kind of, you guys can fill us in on where you're at. We'll fill you in thinking and
So just one thing before we go too far away, I feel if everyone else would agree, the PTS recognition and earlier right in September, even our first September meeting, I felt like that's what we don't have questions about. We can probably put on the calendar. I felt like that is good timing.
yeah,
so.
and then the other one that I wanted to make sure that we bring back is the scholarship recognition. I thought it was really nice when Cheryl Stanton invited all of the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship Award winners. We had like a little mini reception in the first part of our meeting, it was really nice. It's a nice connection. And then I think there was something else. I know we recognized an Eagle Scout that did a community project here, just like those recognition of them, and to make sure that, I think that's a good connection.
I'm sure we can reach out to Ally about those things too, as she posts those in the
Yeah.
RAM reports and kind of get ahead of.
Is there anything else that you can think of as a student that, you would like to see sort of recognition wise or other things, school committee wise, that we should try to tie in?
I think that the school could be recognized every month officially.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's a great idea.
It's a new thing.
I love it.
Awesome.
I like that, I just added on my teacher appreciation.
Speaking of teacher appreciation, that's probably something that should go on our calendar.
Yeah,
Yes,
because we,
that needs to go on there. What was it?
scholarship.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
Are June scholarship?
Well, I think we did it in May. Those scholarships are usually announced.
Yeah, the John and Abigail Adams, I don't know when about this year because this year's class is a little funky. They can still take the MCAS this fall to earn the scholarship because they could take it last spring. So, but I would think like March, April, we'd probably have a pretty good idea.
The other thing I was thinking of was Granby. If that kind of stuff that might come
Yep.
up, I want to make sure that that's in there too.
Yep, and we're Grinspoon every other year, and we had a recipient last year.
Right,
So
okay.
it's not till next year.
I think we should go. Where could we go to, can we just sit in that like outside, where is it?
Right over there.
Right there,
Sure.
that little spot, okay. So about 20 minutes, is that good with everybody? And then we'll reconvene? All right,
Am I bouncing?